Okay, Marquis Simmons out today with a neck. Cyrus Hobby still out. Martin Coleman out with his shoulder still. And Abe came back and did some things, Marquette, so hopefully he'll be back this week.
Can you talk about the guards?
Yeah, we're going to give the young guys a shot again, and so we're into week 3, and hopefully the two true freshmen can help out in there and do some things, but that's up to them, not up to us.
It seemed like for a long time turnovers had been a big talk around here, and you guys had the "that's our ball" thing up in camp, and you're currently last in the conference turnover margin. What can be done to correct that, and does that bother you at all?
Sure, it bothers me, but it's about making plays. We had 2 balls thrown right to us, to our linebackers, right in our hands. We dropped them. So if we catch those 2 balls, we're even, for the year. And so we got to make those plays, and we have to force more fumbles, and then we got to obviously take care of the ball on the other side, with the 2 freshmen putting the ball on the ground.
Is Anthony Brown a guy that you're giving a shot to crack the rotation at cornerback?
Yeah, we have. We've given Anthony a shot. Another one of those young guys in that first class that we signed that has done some good things, so it's his chance to get a tournament.
What do you like about him as a player?
Physical, good tackler, and really wants to be good.
Do you see him just playing in nickel?
We may rotate him in base, but it's looking like he'll play nickel for sure.
What did you think of Matt Barkley's performance in the game on Saturday?
I thought it was okay. There were a couple plays, and some stuff could have helped him out too. His stats could go a little bit different if we don't have 2 drops and if Marquise lines up off the ball, on his 30-yard slant. So that would change numbers a lot there. But he did some good things. They obviously tried to take him away and the receivers away by what they did in the first half. They had never shown that. They had 2 safeties 20 yards deep, and so that was forcing us to run the ball more in that game. And we should have been more efficient in the run game. Even though we were running it well in the first half, there should have been bigger runs because there were no safeties anywhere down there in the box. That should have been a game that if we're playing well up front, we should have ran them out there.
Kind of lingering criticism of him from last year of Matt was the fourth quarter performances. How do you think he's done in the fourth quarter this year, and how much of it has had to do with you guys have kind of been trying to protect leads rather than having back and forth situations?
Yeah, the bottom line is to win the game, and so in the fourth quarter of these games we have had the lead, and we've called the game to win the game. We haven't called the game for stats or and so we've been very conservative in those times. He hasn't been behind yet. That's really where the issue comes up. When you're behind, you got to move them. And so we've been very conservative with our calls to make sure that we win the game and not worry about the stats.
How do you feel about how you guys match up with Syracuse offensively and defensively?
Well, I think first of all on offense, they have a really good passing. Quarterback's 75% completion. He's over 80% in the second half of games. And you go back to his last 3 games now, I think he's 8 to 1 touchdown and interception. So they're playing extremely well in the passing game. It's a timing passing game. They're coached really well. A lot of NFL schemes, and so anytime, regardless of what people think, anytime that you have a quarterback playing extremely well that's experienced, you as an opponent, you better be ready to go. And so we're going to have to be ready to play them. And then on defense, they were 7th in the country last year in total defense and 7th in the country in pass defense. So we're going to have our hands full.
What did you think of the way Mark Tyler played, and is he the guy you'd like to start this week?
I thought Mark played well, especially for missing the majority of camp and going in there. So the good thing is hopefully he'll improve on that. We haven't named a starter yet. We want to see those guys compete and see who comes out here and really wants to play.
Can you talk about Dylan a little bit? Do you expect him to see a play time?
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see how the game goes. Dylan had a good week of practice last week, and hopefully we'll expand it this week.
Another guy who came in at the same time as Dylan is Kyle Prater. Big time recruit, so on and so forth. Really hasn't, had a chance to do anything in these first 2 games. Where is he at?
Yeah, going back to his injuries set him back. Preparing and forced a red shirt last year, and then had more injuries this off season, and really just hasn't been able to get into the groove and feel real comfortable in there. So, really this is like his first year again, because he missed so much time.
Struggled on 3rd down the last 6 quarters. Is there a common denominator why you haven't been able to make those conversions?
Yeah, real little things. 3rd down come to one-on-one matchups and doing things right, and we're just we're a little bit off. And for whatever reason we start the game a lot better, and as we get going, we're not as mentally tough in those situations we need to do things exactly right as we get a little bit tired.
You had 10 third downs that were 5 yards or less to go. How troubling is that as an indicator?
Well, it's very troubling because what happened was the game, for a lot of the game, was going the way we wanted it to go, which was make sure we were getting positive yards on first and second down because Utah's a great third and long defense. On third and long, people hardly ever move the ball on them, and they do extremely multiple. And so there were a lot of second downs where we were trying to get half to get to manageable third downs, and unfortunately, we didn't make the plays in a number of them. You wouldn't think that you'd have a third and inches and quarterback sneak and get a 15-yard clipping penalty, or illegal block penalty. So things like that, just things where you think you're going to pick that up, and all of a sudden you're 15 yards back, completely change momentum.
Your team's making a lot of adjustments and happening defensively against you guys.
I don't know. First series went right down the field. The second half it scored a touchdown. So I don't think so.
You're talking about the struggles of the young players. Does Xavier Grimble's game, the whole sequence kind of in the third quarter, really personify what you're talking about, where he kind of has the great, breakout series, scores a touchdown, and then the very next play has the fumble?
Yeah, that shows that really is kind of the story of our offense right now. Talk about him in the second half coming out and making an adjustment to the cover two they're playing and throwing him the ball down the middle there, and then the drive goes down and scores, and then we come back to him a little bit later with the play where he's open and he puts the ball on the ground. And so there's just too many freshman mistakes that are happening right now, and those guys are making some plays, but then at the same time, two of them putting the ball on the ground, Marquise covering up the tight end, those plays are haunting us right now.
How much freedom does Matt have in calling the offense, changing plays at the line of scrimmage, and versus what your input is and your play call is from the sideline?
It's not really freedom, really. He's still doing what he's trained to do and what he's coached to do. We do put a lot on him. A lot of our stuff is audibled out of for advantages, so that we don't get into negative plays, which has been effective. Through 2 games we have 1 sack. So a lot of those times those audibles are because they're going to do something that's going to cause somebody to come free. So he's done a good job.
You said yesterday that Chris Alvarado's going to redshirt. When did that decision in terms of not wanting that competition at punter for the season?
Well, we just looked at it and looked at the future of having a guy here for 4 years after this year, and they were both doing well, and so it made a lot of sense to redshirt him.
And how important?
One last one.
How important was that second half and down the stretch for the defensive unit?
2 games in a row, and it's good to see the extra conditioning, the extra stuff that we do at the end of practice, has helped us in the last 2 games. Those are situations where we lost 3 games because of that last year, not finishing out in those same situations. So it was great to see.